podcast. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Life Insurance Telesales Mastery podcast episode. Who knows at this point? We've done so many, but welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Johnny Internet Fan, and we got our co-host, Austin Mitchell, coming in from Springfield, Missouri. What's going on, dude?
What's going on, bro? How's your day going so far?
Good, man. We signing agents up, bringing agents into the community and helping people out, which is dope, which I absolutely love about the day to day, that's for sure. So helping
So,
agents rock and roll, getting their leads up and running. So that's what's dope, bro. How about you, man? What you been up to?
dude, just coaching people, getting people, got a couple people their first sale today. That was actually dope. It's always exciting seeing somebody new
Huge,
and
man. Who was
game
it?
playing either. That was, let me see, pull up Slack. That was Christian S.
Oh, he got his first sale today?
Yep.
Dang, bro. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Huge,
Yeah,
man.
it's awesome, dude. It's awesome seeing, whenever people actually they follow the script, they implement it, they practice it, and they make it's trial and error. He fumbled a couple applications beforehand, didn't get them signed, so on and so forth. And when it all comes together and you actually make the sale and get the signature, man, it's just a blessing. I love seeing it.
Yeah, bro, it's crazy because like people are just cranking in there. Gonzalez got like two sales already for the day, and it's like
Three,
2 p.m.
three,
So, huh?
jeez. I think he has three.
Dang, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, bro, he's crushing it. So, and he got some referrals that he's about to present to. He's cool because he's Um, one of the things that I think builds it like helps, and I was thinking about this earlier at the gym today. But one thing that really like helps people succeed in this industry, and I think Gonzalo actually, you and I both know him really well, but like one thing that him and like the people that really are successful inside the community, and I think just in general, are people who got and execute, right?
yeah,
They don't expect the business to just fall in their lap, but they go out and get it. They're constantly on the phones dialing. And so I think that's really cool. And I think that really like portrays what we're trying to talk about in this episode today, right? Talking about like every single thing that you need to know to be able to master telesales and actually sell over the phone, right? What made you want to start selling over the phone, man? A lot of people have different reasons why, but like what was it kind of for you that wanted you to kind of move into the one call close and telesales space, dude?
dude. To be honest, well, I started out infield, right? Like I was going home to home, and I didn't like this is kind of like a jaded answer because like I was brand new. I didn't have a lot of experience in the first place. I had no business moving into telesales whenever I did. But it was kind of backwards. I said, "Man, in-home is so hard. Let me try telesales," which is usually backwards because,
That's hilarious.
telesales is usually a lot harder than in-home. So, dude, I just wasn't seeing any results and I thought I'm making a switch would help, which it didn't at the time, but it ended up working it out over the long run. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
bro.
man.
I remember we used to set appointments like crazy, dude. And then now it's just like, okay, cool. We're training agents on like why one call closing is actually it. Because a lot of times, like, and I'm not saying that like this is for everybody. I'd say majority of people, this is definitely it. A lot of people run into like setting appointments and not seeing the show ups, right? And like especially when you're selling virtually, it's easy if you don't have that lockdown like up and running like crazy. Um, it's not it's not as good, right? To be setting appointments like crazy. It's good to be able to get people call to close. And so kind of talk through that a little bit, man. Like let's start with the very basics, right? Because we're gonna be talking about mindset, like one call closes, schedules, lead types, how many states you should actually have, carriers, all the softwares that you need that will help you accelerate your growth, what products to write, and your computer setup, what actually to like have up when you are calling and closing. But let's start with the mindset, man. Like what when you're getting in the phone, right when you hit the phone, like what's kind of the mindset going behind that?
Dude, you gotta be like angry and ready to crush it. Like, dude, when I sit down, like I'm ready to attack the day. Like I have a goal set in mind and I'm ready just to like try to smash it at all costs. Um, and you got to try to keep that attitude throughout the day because you're going to be faced with a lot of negativity. That's for sure. You're going to get people that answer the phone and cuss you out in the first few seconds. You're going to get people that hang up on you mid call. You're going to get people that are just flat out rude, and that's just the name of the game. You're going to get that in home as well. But with telesales, you tend to talk to a lot more people in a day. So you face it a lot more. So just being tough mentally um, is really like one of the biggest things that turned it in my business. We used to both do a simple thing. I mean, if we just got absolutely crushed, it's just like, and it really affected your mindset, take a 5 minute breather, dude. Go outside, get some sunlight, like, enjoy the sunshine, man. And that'll usually help brighten the mood. But yeah, you have to be able to have a goal set for the day, be able to like come in fierce, ready to attack it, and ready to actually sit down and work. And that's really the mindset you try to carry on every single day going into it. And it becomes natural after a while. It's like you don't even have to try to do it anymore. But when you're first starting out, man, you got to be hungry, got to be ready.
Yeah, so when you're getting on the phone, right, you should expect no. Because if it the
Yeah.
you're probably getting on the phone and when you're just starting out, I expect working age leads. Just because those are really good to they're good lead type, low cost. You're able to get a ton of reps in, right? And so your goal at the very start, right when you get on the phone, is just getting in the reps. If you're just starting out, make sure that you're getting enough volume to be able to support your learning, right? Because right now you're paying for data, you're paying to learn a new skill, and so you're learning, and don't expect to be good right away, but expect to get no's, expect to get objections, and so I think this is really an important time, especially working age leads, to get really, really, really solid on like mastering your upfront objections and keeping people on the phone. So what are you seeing like are the common objections that you're going to be getting right away, and what's kind of your mindset when somebody actually does start getting an objection?
Well, to be honest, whenever you're in the first 30 seconds of the call, you're only getting a few different objections. It's, I already got this taken care of. I'm not interested, or, don't call me again, or it wasn't me, right? Those objections, dude, I don't take it personally, right? These
Yep.
people, they've probably been hounded a billion times. They probably filled out a million different ads,
Yep.
and they're just sick and tired of people calling them. So I meet it with like concern, you know. Oh my gosh, have people been calling you all day? Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just trying to get this taken care of so 20 other agents don't give you a call today. Just meet it with concern, but you're gonna face those three objections. And then what was the other thing you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, well, one power phrase that's really helpful when you're getting these objections, right? And this allows you to buy time, allow like because the goal when you get the objection right away is just to keep them on the phone. Because a lot of times what's going to happen is that they're just going to hang up right on, like they're just going to hang up right away. So the goal is to be able to kind of pattern interrupt a little bit to keep them on the phone to so that you can actually handle these objections, right? So when they give you those objections, saying perfect, that's the exact reason for my call here. Before you hang up, and then you kind of just go and overcome it, right? If they've already filled it out, or if they say they didn't fill it out, right? Hey, you listed your beneficiary as this. I guess, were you looking for anything specific, or just wanting to go over your options, or another thing, right? Were you looking for yourself or a loved one? Who are you
Yeah,
looking to protect? What was kind of the main concern here? And so being able
you have to.
to say that, buy yourself time to be able to keep going in the call.
Yeah, I've always made the analogy too. It's like, we can practice and know our script, but whenever you start making a few sales, you really need to lock down your objections and get good at them because as soon as they give you an objection, especially in the first 30 seconds, it's like they're on the phone, they give you the objection, and as soon as they do that, they're headed for that red button immediately. Like they're getting ready to hang up the phone. And so you have to be quick, like snap of a finger to give those rebuttals.
Yeah,
Or else
one
you
thing
just
that I've actually seen work really well, and this is something I haven't trained on a ton, but it's really good when they say they already have the coverage or they have coverage currently. Like while they're in the middle of the sentence, like perfect. That's the exact reason for my call here. We just helped save Miss Betty $25 a month. We also helped get this person day one coverage. I guess when you filled out this form, were you looking for anything specific or just wanted to go over all your options?
just
Um,
interrupt that objection.
just
Yeah.
interrupt them and keep
Yeah.
going, right? And so I think like these some things that I've heard other people train them, but like has actually worked really well for me. when I've sold is like making sure that that's in place, getting a pattern interrupt right away so that you can just keep the conversation going, which is awesome, right? And so,
I don't let objections. They don't phase me mentally because you guys have to realize they filled out a request for some information. If they already have it, whatever they have a need that needs to be met.
yep.
It's our job just to find that need and actually fill it. So whenever they're giving objections, it's more just like it's how do I help this person? Right? It's I'm not worried that they gave me an objection. It's just they're just angry that 20 other people have called them because they filled out multiple requests. But there still is a need. So me overcoming the objection, however you have to do it, it's okay. These people are master procrastinators, especially if you're in final expense. They have pushed this off like almost their entire life. And now they're at the end of stages of their life and they need some kind of life insurance to help protect their family. And so whenever you guys get beat up on the phone or you get beat up with objections, just always remember that. Right? I don't let it phase me because that family still needs protected. Like their sons, daughters, husbands, fathers, whoever it is, wives, like they need something in place so when that person passes away, they're not stuck with a big financial burden.
Yeah,
But
and
that's always the
that's
mindset
that's
I
a
have.
really good point, right? Like it is a family that's looking to be helped at the end of the day. They're seeking
Yeah,
out coverage, and even though they might give you these smokescreen objections, like you don't want to take it at face value. There's something deeper, and the goal is to be able to get enough trust so that they're able to share and open up to you, and not keep that wall down. You want to break down that wall, but you can't do it right away. You got to take some time. It takes conversing back and forth, knowing that hey, you're a human just like they are as well, and so being able to overcome those objections and then like getting down to actually the root issue, like what was really going on here? Like what was kind of the main concern when you did fill this out? Because they might have already coverage currently. They might have already have coverage, right? They might already have their burial taken care of, but there was something else. And so asking the right questions is super important. Another thing that I really want to talk about, and I know that you've learned this as we've been training and really getting this up and running, is not qualifying a mistake people make a lot is actually qualifying the person too early, right? Or disqualifying the person too
yeah,
early. Um talk a little bit about like what you've learned in that aspect, and how agents can kind of avoid this common mistake.
yeah. I mean, there was a point in time, right, guys, where I went through a stint, dude. It seemed like every single application or every single person I talked to was going to be GI. It was just a week that was just bad. And I was having a tough time pushing it. I was tired of like writing GI policies, having cut commission due to what grade they were going to get. And what ended up happening is that my frustration was bleeding into other presentations that would affect the sale. So even if it would have been somebody that, could have potentially been like a preferred or standard rating, whatever that looked like with the carrier, my frustration and just what would you call this? A false perception that they were going to end up GI bled into those sales and I would lose them. So just keeping that mindset right throughout the entire thing. Everybody's family needs helped. Everybody, it doesn't matter if it's a GI policy or not. That family still needs protection, and it's our job to serve them.
Yeah.
So
And if they were gonna buy, right, they would have just gotten a quote online and bought, right? Or they would have
yeah,
called in and they already would have gotten this taken care of if they actually wanted it bad enough. And so what ends up happening is they might want the coverage, but your goal as the person, as the agent, is to help them make a decision, right? And so it really helped me in this and really get away from commission breath is getting detached from the emotion of the actual sale. And this is something we can go deeper on and I think would be really good in terms of like a wholesaler's training, but getting it detached from the emotion, like from the actual outcome. And if you can get a yes or no, if you can get resolve on the lead, that's really all that matters because you're going to get more no's than you get yeses. But when you do start getting yeses, those will make you rich, right? And so you have to learn how to overcome adversity, how to get rejection, how to face adversity and overcome and still be able to keep going out and not losing heart, inspiration, motivation to get to the next one, right? And the same excitement you got from the first dial that you make should be when you make your 300th dial later in the day, you should still have the dial with the same intensity. And I think a lot of people don't dial. They start off the day right away and then it's like, dang, it's discouraging because I haven't had people answer for a while or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I think that's super important too, is dialing with the same tenacity.
Yeah, it's getting out of that commission breath attitude. Like I said, I was pissed off that I was getting, cut commissions from GI policies. Really, guys, you guys shouldn't be chasing premium. It should be chasing applications. The goal is to get applications submitted and approved to help a family out, not an amount of premium per application.
Yeah.
And that if you chase premium, eventually you're going to face a lot of chargebacks. You're going to face people canceling. You're going to chase unhappy clients. You want to put them in the best situation possible for sure.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to make sure that you are a broker, making sure that you are working with multiple different companies, to be able to actually um, get them the best possible position and also be the best policy that they can.
Yeah. And I'll touch on something too, and this may be kind of a controversial topic for most people, but I've had agents in the past, and we'll just use, you know, generalized carriers, not an exact example, but they may feel bad about writing a policy if they have to like write prosperity and they can't write mutual of Omaha because they don't have mutual of Omaha. And, I always tell them it's like, especially if they have no coverage, some coverage is better than no coverage.
Yeah.
And down the line, if you want to put them in a better position, you always can. But, some coverage is better than nothing. So don't feel bad if you don't have the exact carrier that you would like to go with just yet. You can always get more contracts, but that person's family needs something in place regardless if they were to pass away. So, get them some coverage in place. Just make sure you have their best interest in mind regardless.
100%. That's it, dude. Um, and so I think pivoting a little bit, right? Getting on to get to the next kind of topic we want to talk about is like, okay, so we have the mindset down. We have that we're calling to close. We're not calling to set an appointment. If we have to set appointment, cool, we're gonna do that. Super important to call to close because when you get them on the phone, you might not ever get them on a phone again. So you want to make sure that you're calling to actual close. And that's why it's important to have a one call close question based framework that'll take you start to finish. Kind of like Jordan Belfort talks about, right? Like having a straight line approach. We don't take that exact approach, but it's very similar in terms of you always want to get one step closer to the end result. And so let's talk about the schedule, right? Like, so a lot of people are like, what are the best times to dial? When should I actually be dialing my leads? When should I be calling them? How often should I be calling them? Um, I think what one thing that I think about this is like my mindset with this is dial them as fast as you can and as many times as you can, right? And it's being able to humanly being able to just call and call and call and call and call because the goal of calling is to be able to actually get them to pick up, not to present them. The goal is to get them to pick up. And then from that, the pickup, then the next goal is to be able to actually get them to present. And then the goal of the presentation is to get them to close. And the goal of the close is to get apps. And the goal of apps is to get paid and rinse and repeat, right? And you invest into your business. So it's important to take those steps. But talk a little bit about like what are the best times to call?
Dude, a lot of people try to focus on that, and it's something I've never focused on. Some people are like, I'm gonna dial from 8 to 10, and then I'm gonna dial from 12 to 2, and then 4 to 6, whatever it is. They're like, those are the optimum times to dial. And there is some truth to that, depending on what lead type you are working, if it's mortgage protection or final expense. You may see higher pickup rates in different places, but one thing I've always told myself is the best time to get an application is right after you got an application. And so I don't care what time of day it is, like obviously as long as you're within compliance, but man, dude, just dial the phone. I don't care what time of day it is. I start at 8 a.m. and I don't stop till I hit my goal for the day, right? And so a lot of people get hung up on that stuff. They're like, yeah, well, I wonder if it's too early or I wonder if it's too late. Dude, these people need coverage.
Yep.
And so that's the only thing I focus on. Um, maybe kind of like outing myself here, and that's fine, dude, for the podcast, whatever. But, back in the day, there was times where like I didn't care if I was up and I seen like somebody respond to one of our text automations, dude, I would give them a call at midnight. If they requested the call, I would call them at midnight and I would write the application.
Yep.
They
And
they
since
may
then
wonder
we've
why I'm up
actually
so late.
like yeah, since then we've actually like made sure that they're all TCPA compliant and make sure that they're like only getting messages at certain times, right before 8 or
Yeah,
9 p.m.
exactly. I mean, this is
Right,
this
in
is a
each time.
long
But
time
like,
ago
yeah, this is
now.
This
It's
is it, right? Like he was like there are people that like do want to write apps. Like I've written them at like 11, 12 at night. Like that's just what happens with these
yeah,
people, right? And so you definitely can. But yeah, you're exactly right. Like the goal is speed to lead. You want to work them effectively. We just if you guys haven't had the opportunity, check out our last one of the last couple podcasts about how to actually work leads effectively because we go super in depth on like how do you actually work a lead effectively. So we go way deep into like the mindset behind that. But like call your leads as many times as possible. I think like wherever you're at, get on the phone by 8 a.m. and start calling your leads 8 a.m. wherever those people are, right? Whether that's Eastern, Pacific. If you're in Eastern time, make sure you're getting on the phone by 8 a.m. You could even start at 5 a.m. if you're Pacific time. Start dialing East Coast leads. And so
yeah,
this actually is a good transition a little bit. Like how many states should you have? I would say 10 plus. You want to start with maybe five and really get to 10, 15, 20. I was talking with an agency owner, David Duford, today, and he requires his agents to get 40 states. Like they have to have 40 states, right?
mass-
And the reason for that is so that one, your lead cost is typically lower if you're generating leads, or even in general, your lead cost will get or your lead order will get filled faster. But on the other hand, with this, right, is being able to dial in all different time zones, right? And so you're able to call and actually work longer hours. When I was here in Arizona dialing like crazy, I would start at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and I'd get done around 4. And the way that I was able to do that was because I was able to work those East Coast times, Central times, then actually get to Pacific time. And by 8 a.m. my time, it's actually 11 Eastern. So it actually works well, and then I can work till 4, 5, 6 o'clock at night because I'm dialing Pacific leads. So
yeah,
the goal is to just dial as many people as possible, as many times as or dial as many people as many times as possible, as frequently as possible.
guaranteed, guaranteed, man. Yeah, that's massive, dude. 40 states. Dude, that makes a massive difference. I don't even have 40 states, man. I mean that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely think that's it. Get as many states as you can, guys. You can pick off all the low-hanging fruit first, ones that cost the least. But I mean, if you're gonna start doing telesales, 10 minimum, 10 very minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, because that your lead cost is going to get lower. You're able to work more time zones. I mean, just in general, right? Like even if you can only get five, say for example, like I would get different time zones because
Yeah,
that'll help you really work the time zones to be able to work more as you go, which is huge, right? So that's really important for sure.
for sure, man. Let's see. What are we gonna move on to next, Johnny? We're gonna talk about carriers. I
Yeah,
think that's another.
so let's talk about carriers, right? Like when you're doing telesales, the one of the things that maybe a lot of people might not be talking about, but it's very important in the sales process is the signature process. Because when we're talking with seniors, when we're talking with term like not term people specifically, but typically with final expense people 50, 60 and older, um is very challenging. And so what do I mean by the signature process? Well, when we go and fill out an application, we can't submit that application without the client signing either verbally or like via text or email. And so sometimes carriers are way far behind. They didn't really pivot from COVID, and they're still like you still have to make them sign an email. And a lot of times with when you're doing final expense, it's very challenging to get seniors to actually sign an email. And so even
Yeah,
if it's a few dollars more or you have to pivot to a different carrier, I definitely recommend getting a like working only with carriers. And you don't have to have 30 carriers. You can have 5 different carriers, but specifically that will do either text signature, a voice signature, a call in just real quick to be able to confirm a few health things. Like those are the carriers that you want to do to make the ease of business very fast. And
yeah.
so
And you guys can
go ahead.
pre-qualify clients too. I mean, there's been plenty of times where you're stuck between which carriers to go with, and maybe one's an email signature, maybe one's text, and one's voice, and you can pre-qualify them. Hey, do you have access to your email by chance? Okay, and like, I mean, do you feel comfortable with accessing those emails, maybe finding one and, that sort of thing? You can feel it out, right? Whether you need to go a text route, voice signature, whatever it is. But guys, the one thing you just have to keep in mind, like we said previously, is some coverage is better than no coverage. If you're going to beat that price by $5, but they're not going to be able to sign it,
Yep.
it doesn't matter anyway because the application isn't getting submitted if they can't sign. So just choosing something that's going to be for the easier clients, and you can, like I said, feel it out and see which one they're going to be able to actually submit. But you always want to have their best interest at heart for sure.
Yeah, 100%. You want to make sure that you're doing what's best for them. And also like part of the client experience is like the ease of transaction, right? Like
Yeah,
one of my first mentors in telesales told me like that is part of the value that you're bringing them. That's how you're able to help them. So it's super important to have carriers that you can work that are voice signature, text, email, like text, and then if they are very tech savvy, then doing email. But you're the reason why this is important is because there's a lot of seniors that are not going to be patient with you, that aren't going to want to actually endure this text message process. And so you want to make sure that it's easy as possible because there's already so many factors that are working against you. So if you can work easy to use carriers, um, to be able to like actually transact business, make sure that everything's good, then I definitely would rock and roll with those.
yeah. I think another big thing too with choosing which carriers to go with is like true social security billing.
Yeah.
I mean, can you kind of explain what that is to some of the people that may not
Yeah,
know and
so true Social Security billing
it's
is
so important?
like most times throughout the year, seniors are getting paid on only the third, the first, the second, third, or fourth Wednesday. And so if you were to write an app and say that you set it up for the first of each first of the month each month, right? So say you were to do I don't know, say you were to write a December plan and January rolls around. In January, the first, luckily is on a Monday, but say it falls on the weekend, right? So say we were to write and all of a sudden your June premium comes around and June 1st is actually a Saturday. They're not going to be able to draft that money, or they're going to get the money right at it, like they're gonna get the money a day earlier. They're gonna get the money on Friday. So if the first falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or a holiday, it'll get actually get paid earlier and in advance so that they have the money. But unfortunately, not all carriers are going to be able to draft at that time. And so they'll have to wait. And so they'll draft the day after the holiday, or if it's a Saturday, they'll draft on Monday. And so, like this June, say for example, they're gonna actually draft the money on the third. So that's 3 days after the client's already had the money. Here's why this is really important. A lot of people that get their money and actually get paid from Social Security, they are going to the bank and actually taking all their money out. So what happens on the third when the money's supposed to be in the account, it's gone, right? She either spent it, it's just, it's gone, right? And so it's super important to make sure that you're writing true Social Security billing because the carriers actually have insight to be able to see when they're getting paid. And whenever they get paid, they go and draft the premium at that time. So you're able to get less chargebacks, more persistency, more clients stay in the books, and it's a win-win-win for everybody.
Yeah. And it may sound crazy that like somebody would pull out all their money or that they would spend it all in that short amount of time, but I don't care who you are, if you're the master closer, you lock down your appointments the best, sooner or later you guys are going to run into that. It's something that's happened to all of us. It's kind of crazy and wild. They could be the nicest person. You think they're so excited to get this coverage, and then that happens. And it just it's part of the business. It's part of the sector that we're in. It does happen, and so true Social Security billing is a way to really work around that. And
Yeah.
it'll help persistency guys like crazy.
Yeah. And another thing that will help with true Social Security billing, especially if you're working final or with your persistency when selling final expenses, is staying away as much as you can from direct express cards, right? And so this is another thing that it's like these people are on low incomes, they're not making a ton of money, and they're literally relying on the government to um to pay them, and they don't even have a bank account. Like it's just it's kind of like crazy to even think that that's the case, but that's just the reality, right? And so the government gives a green card, and not for like like
Not
that,
for
like to be able to
immigration
get in the
purposes.
country,
Yeah.
but be like it's a little green MasterCard that they get. It starts with a 5332. And so if it starts with that, then you know exactly that they have
Direct Express.
a direct express card. So those clients, low budgets, not the best clients to actually work with. So it's important to know that those aren't going to be the best clients, and actually limit the amount of business that you're writing with those. But some carriers, if they do true social security billing and they do direct express, they should be good. Like you should be okay being able to actually write those.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's massive. Yeah, definitely limiting that and just feeling them out too, especially if you are gonna write Direct Express, guys, you have to like harp down on the fact of like, is this premium gonna be affordable for you? You know, if the dishwasher goes out next month, Miss Mary, like this won't be the first thing that goes, right? Like really making sure that this premium will be affordable month in and month out. Um, and you want to do that with any piece of business, to be honest, guys. Like you want to make sure you're putting them in a good situation, making sure the premium is going to be affordable, just to avoid chargebacks and keep your persistency rate high. But you know, we've talked about multiple different things, Johnny. I mean, we've talked about carriers, how many states to have, like, you know, did we discuss lead types yet? Like what if you're going to move into telesales, like what type of leads do you think people should be working?
yeah, this is a great question. A lot of this is again another thing that we can go like super deep into and talk probably for hours long. But there's a few core types of leads that you're going to be working when you're working digital leads, right? There's going to be social media leads, like digital leads that you can be working. There's going to be outbound, like there's going to be live transfers. And so the difference between the two, and especially if you're joining an agency or IMO, it's important to ask, okay, what kind of live transfers am I getting? Am I getting an inbound lead, or am I getting an outbound transfer? And so there's a very distinct difference between the two. An inbound live transfer is if they were to watch a TV commercial and it says call 888-888-5555, and they call that number and then they get transferred to you. That is an inbound lead. Now, in terms of an outbound transfer, it's if somebody were to like a virtual assistant, say somebody in the Philippines is calling out on like either an age list or age data or just some type of leads and just ripping the leads, and all of a sudden they transfer it to you. Those are two very different intent type of leads, right? And so they're nice because they're efficient. It takes all the dialing out, and all you have to do is just answer the phone and be ready to go. But the volume and the actual intent of the leads are going to be very different, because there's people that are just going to pick up because they've been called 27 different times, but they're not actually they don't actually like really want insurance. They're just like, okay, whatever. I've worked these so many times. But then on the other hand, um, live transfers in terms of like getting inbound calls, that's going to be different as well. And so you want to find a good mix in terms of what's going to be best for you and best suited for you. Now, one thing that a lot of like a big agency that we know, they actually moved away from these like live transfers that are like outbound, like VAs transferring, because the I think the call center in Pakistan or the Philippines, what ended up happening is they would call the same list every single day, and they would start transferring these same people over and over and over and over and over again. And all of a sudden, this person gets sold one policy, and then a few days later they get sold another policy and get replaced and all this stuff. So you just want to make sure that that's not happening with the leads that you are working, and that they're either outbound or inbound. There's other type of leads, like what other types of leads would you say?
I mean, there's Facebook leads, you know, self-generated or generated by a lead vendor. We have direct mail leads for final expense or mortgage protection. That's another one. I mean, it's kind of dying off a little bit, but I mean, it is still a lead source out there. Guys, I mean, it doesn't matter what lead source you are working. Obviously, everybody's going to have their preference, and I think it's possible to write business on any of them. But always vet your lead vendors, do investigation, talk to agents that have possibly worked those leads before, get their experience, talk with the actual lead vendors, see, you know, if they're going to be outbound live transfers, inbound live transfers, you know, whatever that looks like. If they're generating Facebook leads for you. whatever that it really is, you guys just need to vet the people that you're going to be working with and the people that you're going to let you really dictate how much business you're writing per month. So
Yeah.
do that. And then, guys, I don't care if your guys' leads are $55 or if they're $5. What really matters is, cost per acquisition. If you're closing at a super high rate on a $55 lead, man, you guys are probably in a good situation, right? And same with a $5 lead. So be sure to track your numbers, like look at your cost per acquisition and vet your lead vendors, and really make a decision from there. But for like a brand new agent, and like I said, this may be a controversial topic, but this is my opinion. I wouldn't advise somebody to start out taking live transfers because they tend to be a little bit more expensive.
Yep.
And it's easy to burn up a lot of cash that way if you're inexperienced. For somebody that's brand new coming in, working aged leads or even self-generated Facebook leads at a low cost, really helps you push through that learning curve, get some presentations on the board, and like gain that skill. And if you want to look at, live transfers or a more expensive lead type down the line, I mean, at that point you can kind of make a shift. But
Yeah. Yeah, it really doesn't matter, right? Like all that matters is really your cost per acquisition at the end of the day. That's for sure. And having the volume of leads to be able to actually work. Like that's the most important thing with final expense or mortgage protection, telesales in general is just having volume of leads, having a ton
abundant.
of leads to call. Because the worst thing to do, yeah, we've had people in our community do this. It's like they only have a certain like a small amount of leads and they call the same people over and over and over and over and over again, and it's like I remember somebody was like, they're starting to catch on. Like they've called this person the same time and they've answered 3 days in a row and they've told me the same exact thing. And like, dude, stop calling me. I remember you. And so
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you're never running into that. But like on the other hand, getting into a spot where like Chase, if he gets an objection, he's like, dude, I'm moving on. Like they
Yeah.
actually have to qualify to work with me and become my client. And so it allows you to have an abundance mindset knowing there's so many other people out there wanting insurance. There's so many other people out there that actually need my help. It's just a matter of actually finding them at the right time, getting in contact with them, having a smooth presentation to be able to help them with the policy. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really what it
Tell
comes
us,
down to at the end of the day.
it's an abundance game. You guys have to work like this is a mindset too, right? We can go back to mindset for a second. It's, whenever I got crushed on a presentation or I got crushed with a massive objection that like tried to hurt my attitude, I never cared because I had hundreds of other leads that needed called. So I always told myself like work from a place of abundance, not
Yeah.
scarcity. I think that's super important when it comes to
Yeah.
telesales.
Yeah, and that comes down to mindset, right? Like having an abundance, knowing that like, dude, Miss Betty, it's okay if you don't buy insurance from me. It's totally okay. I have so many other people to talk to, but I genuinely want to help you. So the big question I have for you is would you like my help to be able to actually get this policy in place for you and your family, knowing that if something, God forbid, were to happen, right? 3 days from now, we never know that that your family would be taken care of. And if it's no,
That could be
totally
a
cool. I mean, I
that
have
could be
like
a
100 people to
slippery
call
slope.
after this.
It can be a slippery slope for new agents too. If they have that mindset, you can take it in a wrong direction. They can go, oh, I have such an abundance of leads, like, and not even try to overcome an objection. Or if they get any kind of pushback, they just get off the phone. That's not what we're trying to say, guys, right? Like, always try your best to close the client and help protect that family. But if it's not going to happen for that person in that specific time, it's okay. Like, work from a place of abundance, have an abundance of lead flow, and move on to the next one.
Yeah. And that's it, right? And this is like like those are the things that you actually need to know, right? And so let's talk about like softwares and CRMs for a second, right? Because this is another thing we get tons of questions on, like what CRM is going to be best, what dialer, all this stuff, right? The number one thing I want to say to all those people actually ask that question, and all the people that think that there's going to be a magical thing that's going to be out there, is that these things are not going to help you sell insurance, period. Right? I like to think about it this way. Like I wish that they would just sell insurance for us. I mean, there's AI dialers nowadays that you never know what's going to happen. But that's super important to know. And so when you're just starting out, right, as an agent, know that there's AI dialers, whatever you've been told out there. If they're telling you that they'll sell the policy for you, and all you have to do is just collect the commission check, then just know that there's probably something off about that. And so the first thing is like trust your instinct. Second thing is make sure that you are think about it this way. It's AI, dialers, Pixie, whatever it is, right? All the softwares you're going to use, automations, they're not going to help you go from a 0 to like a 9. They'll help you go from like a 7 to a 9, right? Or a 6 to an 8. It's gonna help you like that, but it's not gonna help somebody go from no sales experience at all, not being able to sell any insurance, to all of a sudden they're making like it's just not gonna work that way. And so I think for you as an agent, as a new agent, your focus needs to be on selling. And then AI and dialers and CRMs and whatever it is that's out there is going to help you sell more insurance and actually become more proficient at it. Because at the end of the day, if you have all this stuff, if you're getting all these presentations, but if you don't have the sales ability to actually close and help these families out, there's no point, right? Like the leads, even leads, right? It goes back to marketing as well. These leads could have the highest intent. They want to buy a policy, but you can mess it up. And there's no control over that. And so for you as an agent, you have to get really good at sales, and then you add all these other stuff, all these other things on at the very start. I remember when we started working digital telesales leads, when we just got into telesales, dude, we were calling from our phone. Like we were
Yep.
calling multiple times from our cell phone. Right now we have all these dialers and stuff, but like we're making tons of money during that time when we're just calling from our phones, which is insane.
Yeah. Yeah, softwares are like it's not the whole cake. It's like it's just the base. And softwares are just the icing on top once you've already built a foundation. So softwares, I mean, they're not going to replace hard work. They're not going to replace those, foundational fundamentals that you have to go through and build when you're brand new. That's for sure.
Yeah. And it's yeah, so let's talk about it, right? So we use Kixie. That's another one thing, like a local presence dialer that if you have a 480 number, like the lead has a 480 number, it's going to call from a 480 number. If it has a 505 number, it's calling from a 505 number. And what's cool is it's automatically like that. Another thing with that is that phone reputation management is very necessary and crucial. So
Massive.
you have to know that you're not getting marked as spam. If you're making 400 dials a day and only getting one contact, you're probably not getting as many presentations as you actually need. So it's important to make sure that you're getting that absolutely dialed in. Another thing with that is we actually use a CRM, like a white label high level. And so what's cool about that is we have automations that go out. We have AI that's actually working. We trained an AI bot to be able to help people get more resolution on leads as well. So that's another thing on top of it, right? Is making sure that you're having consistent people coming in that are working in this, and you're using AI to really like and leveraging AI to be able to get more presentations and actually work in the background for you, so you're not having to follow up consistently with these people.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, and especially new people, when they hear AI automations, they think that that's going to do all the work for them or that it's trying to convince the client when it's really not. The purpose of it and having the automated text go out and all that stuff is just to get them in contact with you. It's just to get response, get engagement from a client so that you can call them and actually do the hard work. But I mean, last thing, man, I know we got to wrap it up here soon. Like, as far as whenever you sit down, you're getting ready to dial, like you have your dialer pulled up, like what other stuff do you have set up like on your computer screen when you're getting ready to actually dial the phone?
Yeah, so the first thing is your script, right? And so if you guys need access or want access to like our one call close question based framework, the one that's helped generate over millions of dollars in actual like AP and sales, drop in the comments right now down below, and we'll actually send it to you, right? And we're not afraid to send it at all. If you want that and more and objections and how to overcome literally every objection you're gonna get telesales, join our free face or school community down below. There's a link just says apply here. Actually apply and actually to join our completely free school community. There's tons of more resources in there, right? But the first thing is scripting. So having up my script up, and then what I also have is my dialer. So I have Kixie up, and then another thing up, I have my CRM, and then I just have all those right here next to me. So I have the script, I have insurance toolkits as well. So those are the four things that I have up when I'm dialing, because focus is everything. Making sure you're actually doing quality work If you say you're working 60 hours, actually working, like, are you dialing 60 hours a week consistently? Are you talking to people consistently? The goal of using all this, right? You have all those up, but like the goal is to just either you should be listening to the phone ring all day or you should be talking to a client. That's all you should be doing at the end of the day. And then schedule admin work, schedule all those different things. But like that's how telesales should work.
Yeah. Okay, so just to recap, you don't have like Facebook open, no
No.
email.
Mm-mm.
Okay. You're not like watching YouTube videos or anything like that.
No, that's it. I mean, sometimes I
Okay.
do like listen to YouTube while I'm going, but it's only while I'm dialing, and then I turn it off and boom, I just keep going. Right. And so
Yeah.
that's just another thing. It's super, 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 um, super important.
Okay, so for the recap, we have dialer open, CRM, your script, and then what else?
Yeah. So we have the script, we have the, the,
Script, insurance toolkits, dialer, and CRM.
yep, that's
Things
it.
you need. That's
And you
all you
should
need
be
to make.
responding to people. You should be calling within 5 minutes, making sure that you call as many times as possible, making sure that you're following up consistently, and so on and so forth. That's really going to allow you to be successful as a life insurance telesales agent. And that's transparently, that's all you need to know to go out and actually sell insurance. It's just a matter of you going and taking this information and going out and executing. It really takes us back to the first thing that we were talking about right away is going out and executing, right? I want to leave you guys with this. You don't need more information. If you needed more information, if information was all that you needed, you'd be a billionaire with a six pack already. But the reality is you don't. And so right now, go out and execute. The 50,000 calls that the 50,000 calls that I made in my first 9 months taught me more than any sales book, any podcast, any YouTube video can make. Right. And I think it's super important to keep listening to these types of videos, right? Subscribe right now, invest in yourself right now by subscribing, but don't just let it settle like that. Go out and actually execute. Go out and actually do the things that we're saying and then come back. A lot of people get
Yep.
lost in this mindlessness of scrolling, listening to podcasts, listening to YouTube videos, watching all these things. They say they want all these things, and then you talk to them a year later and they're in the same exact spot, the same exact situation that they're at now. And don't let that be you. Don't let that be that person that's full of potential and does nothing with it. Go out and actually execute. Go take massive action. Go out and actually do the thing that you need to do to be successful, which is actually putting in the work because this stuff is not making you money. What's going to make you money is going out and actually putting in the work, getting the objections, and learning from your mistakes.
Yes, sir. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, man. I hope that brings a lot of value to new agents and even experienced agents who are just
Yeah.
looking to move into sales.
Yeah. And if you want to be able to like really push past that, right? And actually be able to push past those learning curves, let us know, right? Like, let us know what questions you guys have, and we'll be happy to answer, right? We'll literally respond to every single comment we get down below. So drop us any comment you have. We'll be happy to answer. And the goal of this is to really help you scale your life insurance agency past and way faster than what we did, right? And so if you haven't already, subscribe right now. Share this with a friend if you found it valuable, and let us know what we can help with. And we'll see
Yep.
you guys on the next video. Peace.